Alrighty. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unified Purpose, the podcast where we share inspiring tales of compassion, resilience, and community spirit. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm here with a very special guest, Ariel Shelton from Philadelphia CultureWorks. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Shannon. Really appreciate you. I'm excited to be able to be in conversation with you.
Thank you. Okay, perfect. So, start by telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in Philadelphia Culture Works, what it means to you, and everything that you think is relevant to say in between.
Oh, okay, cool, for sure. So, I'll give a quick spiel about my background. I'm actually originally from Detroit, Michigan. And I grew up there for the first, 18 years of life. While I was there, I really benefited from a strong education system, public education system. Around the age of 11, my mom told me, as a single mother raising three kids, immigrant coming from Jamaica, that if I couldn't figure out a way to get a scholarship, I wasn't going to get into college. So I needed to figure that out. And so around the age of 11, as I mentioned, I was in a band class because I was always like super into creativity. Like I was the kid that was always doodling, in my spare time. And I like won like in the fourth grade a like vision board contest, like and so I signed up for band to try to, to figure out this whole this creative interest. And in the band class, the band director was like, look, if you play the French horn, the bassoon, the oboe, you'll probably get a scholarship to college. And I was like, okay, my mom gave me that spiel. Uh,
I love the very specified instruments. Like, you will get a scholarship for these because people don't play them.
because- exactly. But you hear that and you like, I mean, once I discovered the French horn, I mean, I was into it because I think it looks very cool to this day. Like, I love the French horn. Like, and then when I got a chance to learn more about it and like found out that it was the major instrument for so many movie soundtracks, like, all the Star Wars stuff, John Williams, of course, shout out to him because he highly features it. Like, anyways, it also just, made it clear for me that, sometimes there are things that you hear or experience on a routine basis and you don't even know what they are, like it just like the French horn. I mean, there's so many threads of like life lessons that I learned in exploring it, even outside of getting my scholarship to college, which I luckily did. I ended up getting a scholarship to Howard. And that's how I ended up in DC. While I was at Howard, I was really interested in expanding and discovering what it meant to work in the business side of things. So I studied music business, um, and I was really inspired by my classmates around me. And I mean, I'll just fast forward through this chunk of time. But while I was in DC and shortly after leaving school, I ended up working with a friend on a project called The Musicianship, where we provided after school music lessons to kids in DC, many of whom just did not have that access. Also supported an organization called the Washington Women in Jazz Festival as a woman playing a brass instrument at that time, especially, and just not really seeing that representation. It was something I was really excited about. We ended up traveling to Sweden and producing a jazz festival out there, which also was super illuminating for me, just like the worldwide impact that jazz has. And yeah, all of that led me eventually to working at the Kennedy Center in their social impact department, all kinds of other steps in between. But those experiences over time added up and really showed me how many different options there were actually, in producing work and being creative and, allowing space for those that, are into elements of our cultural landscape that, I mean, similar to the French one, right? Like you feel, but you may not have full words for or understand. And so when I found out about this opportunity at CultureWorks, I was really excited because with CultureWorks, we're an organization that supports 94 now different entities throughout the city of Philadelphia. And so there's never a boring day. There's always something to climb into and to discover. And I mean, I'm talking about projects like the Initiative for Better Gun Violence Reporting. Um, as we know, safety is a major contributing factor in our cultural landscape. So organizations that support the films of folks from the Latino community, and I could go on and on and on. Again, there's 94 of these organizations. And so essentially what it means to be a fiscal sponsor is we're the nonprofit and we share our EIN with all of these entities so they can go out for grant funding and they are fully compliant and can go forward in community and do the impact-driven work that they do in culturally responsive and diverse ways. And we also share a physical space. I'm actually here now in our co-working space, which is in Center City, Philadelphia. And with all of the shifts in terms of arts and culture in Center City, I'm just really proud and excited that we are able to house the space and maintain the space in a way that's sustainable and, makes it clear that, we're not going anywhere. We're, in this shared hub all together. So I could go on and on and on and on. Forgive me, but the journey that to where I am.
No, that is beautiful, and it's really great to hear, one, to have learned more about Philadelphia Culture Works up to meeting you for the first time and now the second time, but to know that this is something that, like, an initiative that is happening is such a great thing to hear. I went to college in Philly, and went, to school for political science and learned maybe way too much about, how the government works and the funding in which, goes to in Philadelphia, and it was very disheartening because I see Philadelphia as such a beautiful city full of so much culture and so much, life, and there's so little money going to so many important things that I think would uplift the different communities here, that would, showcase, like, how beautiful all these intermingling cultures that are in the city that you don't see everywhere else, and it's like, it's to know that that initiative is happening with Philadelphia Culture Work is so cool because there's all these different nonprofits that do a lot of different things. And I think they're all necessary for different reasons, especially since there's such a gap with funding for so many things that should be funded more and better and properly. But to see this kind of initiative that supports a conglomerate of those spaces is so, so cool to hear about and to know that it's happening because I think, like, what better place than Philadelphia to have something like this?
I really appreciate that. Look, and new to the scene. You said you went to college out here, so you here for some years, and it's been about a year and a half for me so far. So I'm still, getting the lay of the land, and I know it's journey, and it will never be a never-ending journey because the city is also changing tremendously, and will continue to do so. Um, but with all of that said, I mean, what has struck me and had me just so excited about being here is exactly what you're talking about. Like, Philly is such a special city, and it's so I don't know if it's like people don't know, but and also I'm like, I feel like I shouldn't even talk about that though, because I don't want everybody to know just how
You're gatekeeping Philadelphia.
should be gatekeeping Philly because I love talking to everybody here. But what is here is just so special and remarkable and beautiful and like, yeah, there's so much coming from DC. I mean, DC had a lot, and I was really proud and excited to be a part of so much in DC as well and to like help grow things, from the ground up in DC. And I always carry that with me. But being in Philadelphia, I feel like I've actually like how do I say it? It's been humbling in a lot of ways because I'm learning so much from folks that have been doing like incredible work. I mean, I'm just calling in like all of these organizations like the Asian market over in FDR Park during the summer. What? Like,
Wonderful place. I actually know someone with a stand there, and they're like the most wonderful family. And it's
yo, it's amazing. And I know like Catsy, who's one of the people that supports that, she also has a project at CultureWorks for folks in the Laotian community and in the Cambodian community. It's also part of our whole zeitgeist. Anyways, I could go on and on and on about that like set of, community members and more. But anyways, I say all that to say like Catsy is a great example of someone where like and I've mentioned this to her in passing, but I see her in her work and I'm so inspired by it because she was, I believe, like one of the first Asian American spoken word artists that was like recognized by Def Poetry Jam. I mean, there was like this whole video that came out about it recently, and I was like, "What?" Like, I just see you in passing through this. Like, there's just like layers of history and work is really what I'm trying to get at. With so many of the folks that we work with at CultureWorks, but then to your point, even in the larger like nonprofit landscape, it's so rich with culture and history and background. And again, that exists, of course, in DC as well, but here in Philly, it's special. It feels like there's just there's a lot of meat, around. So yeah.
no, I definitely agree. It's probably so wonderful to be able to be in the role that you are and be able to experience all of these different things that you probably, like, even as someone that has lived here for now 7+ years, I still learn about new things going on in Philly constantly that have been going on that I just find out, and it's such a cool thing because coming from a place that had very little culture when I was raised in. Um, I think that experiencing all of this is such a privilege. It's such a luxury to have, and not all cities have this much of it. Like this what's the word?
Density almost.
And it's very cool, and it's so small, which is so much better because you can actually experience all of it, and it's inclusive and affordable because Philadelphia, we love that. Philadelphia is affordable.
We gotta keep it.
People don't. Okay, so one day, our
And what to do? I'm here.
don't actually. It's the worst actually.
Yeah, yeah. Don't have to make a soundbite out of that. Let's stupid. That's what we are.
A lot of Philly natives follow me on LinkedIn. I don't think they'll be really happy about my soundbite saying I hate this thing. But okay, so we've cheesed enough over Philadelphia. I'm gonna segue a little bit, even though I could probably talk about it forever. So how does culture work since they work with so many different organizations? How do you kind of measure your impact, like on creative or cultural communities? Like I'm sure that there's some kind of metrics that you have to abide by in order to like share with stakeholders or whatever it may be. But how do you guys consider that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say for us as a fiscal sponsor, our primary stakeholders in terms of reporting are our grantors or our funders, folks that are providing financial resource to our organizations or the organizations we work with and with whom we're ultimately accountable in terms of making sure that, that money is being tracked and budgets are being spent in the ways that they've been requested to be spent. And so I have an amazing co-executive director. Her name is Belinda Staffy, and she manages our fiscal sponsorship program in full. Her and the bulk of the rest of the team. We have a team of 6 people that go through weekly finance check-ins, go through quarterly reporting moments, just on a daily basis are checking in to make sure that those financial requirements that our funders are looking for are met with receipt. We use so much technology here to manage it all. I mean, it's a small team, but one of my colleagues, his name is Johnny Garant, and he is like, I mean, I think I've said this to him like at some point, but just like genius level at making sure that our systems are set up in a way where things are being tracked regularly. We also have a finance director. Her name's Ellen, and she's been with the organization for goodness some time now. Like she's been with the organization more than 10 years for sure, and has established a really trust-based relationship with so many of the organizations that we work with. And so, yeah, a funder or, someone who's providing grants to an organization is like, hey, we need to, just sort through how this money is being spent, why, where, how, et cetera. Like Ellen is able to quickly get on the phone anytime day and will do so, just to make sure that everything is clear. So yeah, for us, like we take our responsibility and being a and being a fiscal sponsor very seriously. Because we're ultimately the ones that are responsible for how, things go, being the holders of the EIN for, these organizations. So having those technological tools in place, having team members that are just like experts at this work is a privilege to be able to be a part of all of that. And for me, my job, my role really is to make sure that people know that the service is here. I think a lot of people are unaware of what fiscal sponsorship fully is. I mean, it's a relatively emergent aspect in the nonprofit community overall. It is one that, has had its challenges, depending on the organization and its capacity and how it's grown. For us, we're constantly looking at ways to make sure that, we continue to grow in responsible ways so that we're not overextending ourselves. Um, but yeah, like just getting the awareness out there that there is that option for fiscal sponsorship is really what I'm all about. And also the shared resource again that we have here with our co-working space. You don't have to spend thousands on thousands to have an office. You can always look at, sharing that with others that are similarly aligned around mission and vision. So yeah.
I do really like that. I guess it's also a way for, I don't know if this is how it works for you guys, but being able to have people um work alongside you, like maybe if they are involved with your organization or not, but it's also a way to network, I guess. I'm sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because so Melinda and I joined, as I mentioned, about a year and 3-ish months ago. And one of the first things that we did was we held member meetups where virtually we, brought people together, paid for their time on the calls and just like asked questions about what their experience had been around fiscal sponsorship. And that was super illuminating. And those member meetup calls led to us procuring a grant where we're able to do this deep dive around our policies. And with all of that, we're doing a member summit for the first time in years. I don't think actually the organization has ever done this, where we're bringing together all of our fiscally sponsored members at Rec Philly, who I'm a huge fan of,
Yes.
the support organization.
Hello.
But yeah, so we're meeting up over at Rec Philly and we're bringing all of the members together to do exactly that. Network with one another, share with us transparently what their experience is, in her structure, and yeah, brainstorm and plan forward. So we're really excited to have the privilege of the network within the organization.
That is so beautiful. That's such a nice place to get together and be able to communicate. I feel like that's that is it's such a privilege because I feel like there's so many as I mentioned before, there's so many nonprofits in Philadelphia that are like not communicating or don't like efficiently communicate or interact with each other. And I think that there's so many ways of using each other's work to be able to create something even better or to create like a good event that would work because a lot of people are serving the same population. And I noticed that a lot with this podcast where I'll tell people like, oh, there's this, your organization reminds me of this organization. Like I'd love to connect you guys because especially with Philly, there's so much overlap because there's so many unfortunately and fortunately, I guess there's so many communities to serve Um, I think that having these nonprofits be able to interact is such a beautiful thing because unfortunately it doesn't happen as often as I would like to see, I guess.
Look, tell me about it. It's the diversity of the culture here, right? I think that leads kind of to it. It's like it's interesting because on one hand, one of the things I've experienced is like a lot of people know one another, especially people that have been here for some time and are clearly like similarly aligned in terms of what they want to see happening where, when, why. But there are also like a relatively newish crop of folks that have come in, and many of whom, in ways we all know what was happening then. And so it's like, how do we start building stronger connections with one another? It's something that Melinda, my co-executive director, and I talk about all the time. One of the other things that we're doing at CultureWorks is every month on the third Thursday of each month, we're hosting space for folks to come together. So we're kicking it off in February 20th, actually. We're doing an event on historic preservation in a changing city. And that is the first conversation on purpose for so many reasons. I mean, I'll just mention one of the organizations we work with is called Hidden City Philadelphia. And I definitely recommend people check them out. They have a really tremendous social media presence where they, really dive into the history of Philadelphia and all of the architecture and what it housed at one point. They advocate for historic preservation in a really compelling way. But they're going to be a part of this panel discussion that's moderated by Patricia Wilson Aiden, who's over at the Greater Philadelphia Cultural Alliance, another support organization we're big fans of. Jill Pirtle from Marian Anderson House, Taib Smith, who's a local developer, and Oscar Bezert, who's done incredible work around historic preservation in Germantown through Keeping Society. And so, yeah, that first gathering is going to be one where, I mean, some of these people have connected with one another, from my understanding, but others have not. And then also bringing in an audience that is interested in this topic. I'm just really excited to see exactly what you're mentioning, like people building and rebuilding those connections so that we can work in the most efficient and strategic way possible around these causes.
No, I love to hear something like that, especially with the architecture of Philly. It's one of my favorite things about the city is it's so beautiful.
Here,
But underrated. I was in the ah the Wanamaker building the other day that connected to the to Macy's. Gorgeous. Like obviously Macy's is beautiful. I think they're closing
but
unfortunately.
they, you see, historic preservation and the change of journey. Two lights away from us. Oh,
So beautiful. I was never in the other side of it, but it's even more gorgeous than Macy's. And
what's it called? The organ? Did you see the organ?
yes,
I bet.
one of the oldest organs in the country or something like that, right? I remember reading the placard, but I can't exactly remember. It was moved there, which is insane. There's so many beautiful things. I literally remember the other day, being in Chinatown in like a kung fu tea. I think it was kung fu tea. And there is this building that is, I guess, foreclosed or something across from it. It is gorgeous. It's so weird too. It's very strange looking. But it is so gorgeous. And I'm like, if someone buys that building and tears off the facade, I'm going to be so upset. I'm happy. It's so great to hear one about so many different organizations working towards historical preservation because in Philly, it is such a gorgeous city and they tear down so many buildings and make them look like the most modern, ugly thing.
You know, yeah. I mean, and I do also get the whole thing of like there are like a lot of these buildings and structures unfortunately have not been well maintained or are not usable in their current way. But again, I mean, it goes back to that thing that you mentioned of like, how can we bring similarly aligned minds and resources, especially resources, to like come together and affect clear change? Like, I think that's really it's been the missing thing. Instead of it being kind of like disparate, like we've got to coalesce, I think, a little bit more deeply than we have been. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because there's other organizations that could probably help with like the construction aspect of that or something like that. And if they were connected, then this would be such a beautiful partnership. I think, and it's so, you know, you see it so much because you, especially if you're involved in nonprofits and you see all the things that they do, you can see like the possibilities, but unfortunately, sometimes they're not connected or they don't know about each other. They don't even know the other one exists. So it's again very cool that something like CultureWorks exists because that's such a big way of connecting those different organizations. And I don't know about a lot of places that do that. So it's very, very cool. Speaking of partnerships, um, how do you guys cultivate partnerships like all of these organizations that you work with, the 94, I think you said, how how do you choose them? Like, do they come to you? Do you seek them out? What's the process like look like, I guess? And um, yeah, how do you I guess maybe advertise how to join in all that different stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, you're speaking to the market department, as I mentioned, with all the work that we do, the bulk of our team is devoted to ensuring that we are crossing our T's, dotting our I's in terms of compliance for our members. And so that's where our energy really, really, really is spent. But one of the beautiful things that I have in this partnership that I've struck with my co-executive director, Melinda, is we both come in with a background around marketing and communications, and in doing so for community members who may not always be plugged in for whatever reason. So what we did, coming into the organization was we created or refreshed our website. This had already been underway right before we came in, but we inherited like a website that had been and reconfiguration. And with that reconfigured website, we have there a page devoted to learning more about our fiscal sponsorship program, seeing which organizations are a part of it. There is an application form that is open year round. We are at capacity right now, again, because, small
94, it's a lot.
boy, you have so much money. It's not, I will say we're also like examining our onboarding and offboarding process, because there are some folks that come in and they say, hey, look, I just want to do this one project over the course of 2 years and then, I'm out. And so, yeah, right now we're evaluating which of those organizations may not continue on, or, are interested in going in different directions to, yeah, get a better understanding of how many seats may reopen. So yeah, it is just like a consistent practice of looking at where we are, what our capacity is, and then, opening and reopening doors. Last year we did a couple of virtual calls that we shared through social media for folks to join. I also restarted our external email system that had been quiet for a few years, again, mostly during COVID, when we were trying to just make sure that we crossing T's and dotting I's and, complying in important ways. But yeah, I mean, I'm just thrilled and excited to be able to extend this word forward. And now that we're in a stabilized position, where we're able to let folks know that the option is there. And also there are other organizations that provide these services, like Urban Affairs Coalition. I believe they keep their doors very wide open. Their team has been there. I want to say they've been around for over 50 years. And yeah, so they have like an infrastructure that can definitely be utilized in the same ways as ours. Fractured Atlas is another amazing organization that, we like to champion. They also provide fiscal sponsorship to organizations and entities. So yeah, I mean, as people come to us and as we let folks know about these opportunities, we're consistently also sharing other organizations that we're proud to partner with and how they, do similar things as well. But I mean, I will say with our co-working space, that is something that I'm really excited to see come to life more readily as well. Like when I came in, I embarked on a campaign where we offered co-working at $50 a month, uh, and you can cancel it at any time. And I mean, for me, that was super exciting because I just kept hearing people, talk about this loneliness factor or, this missing of a community factor and being able to like say, hey, for the price of like your internet bill at home, you could just like hang out here and get like coffee and tea. And there's a podcast room and a game room and like all these other amenities that we're able to offer through the co-working space. So I'm excited to see how that continues to build as well. We just welcomed in Philadelphia Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. They're another partner of ours. They provide essential services, of course, to the community. So we're excited to have them here. And I mean, yeah, that's a whole other like arm of our work, right? Like just this co-working space and the shared resources that come into play. That
Well, it's nice to see this vision that you have for what can happen, and I think that the co-working space, I think, is such a wonderful idea because having been remote for so long, it's something that I really value being in person. I We got together one day last month, and I was so excited. I was dreading it for a little bit because I was like, "Oh, I have to leave my house really early in the morning," but then I got there, and it was just so nice. I think we just crave human connection, after, being remote or being even hybrid. I think it's like after COVID, there was this big boom of all these events and everything because everyone really wanted to interact socially. I think that even for the more anxious of us, I think that we still crave social interaction to a level, and it's really nice to have that ability, and especially with an organization as accepting as yours, I think it would be such a lovely interaction to have people come and share your co-working space, and also learn about all these different nonprofits that do all these great things, and then, it's networking, but in a way that's not businessy.
Yep.
It's helpful.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And we have like this big old kitchen island in the middle of our space. And oh my gosh, just last week we did for the first time, I think ever, a member that's been with us for some time shared with me like he'd never experienced it. But we had a cooking class. So we had a the making class. Yeah, right? On
That
this
sounds awesome.
it was so cute. It was, I mean, like we reconfigured it so it was less co-working but and more like, cooking class, like, but yeah, it was just really, really special to be able to like expand and utilize the space in that way too, you know? It feels homey. We just moved actually into this co-working space in July of last year. So we haven't hit a full year yet. And I too am very excited to see like how the community comes together and like helps form the space out. So yeah, we shall see.
Are there any other things that you're excited about for the future? I'm sure there's so many things. Having the 94 organization is charming, but I it must be really really awesome because you get to experience all these new different projects. Is there
Mhm.
something that like you're particularly really excited about?
Oh yeah.
Mention.
Yeah, I mean, there's something I'm getting into almost every day. Like Thursday, one of the projects we work with, it's called Rising Wing, and they're an organization that brings together arts administrators throughout Philadelphia, and it's like strictly just networking and building. And so they're hosting a gathering on Thursday. I'm going to go to. Yeah, so that should be really fun. And then what is it in February? I forget exactly the date, but I think it's February 22nd. There's going to be a quilt making class that our member at Tiny Farm Wagon is producing. It's going to be over at Bartram's Garden. Her name's Misty Soul. She's an incredible artist. So yeah, it's like constant. There's always an event happening. And on our website, another thing that we've been able to plug in is under news and announcements every month, the events that are coming up. Yeah. In March, I should also, I mean, I'm telling you, there's something like all the time. But right. We have a Drexel co-op intern with us right now. Her name's Nana. And she is producing an industry appreciation night. She not only is an intern at Drexel, working here, but she also bartends on the weekends. So this is a chance just, to give appreciation to folks in the service industry. Gonna have free drinks, an art showcase produced by folks in the service industry, good music, nice vibes. And that's gonna be a part of our third Thursday series, but in March. So yeah, I mean, that is something that I look forward to all the time. It's just like these events as they pop up, and it's going to take some time before I get to an event for every one of our projects, of course. But I'm on a mission, so yeah, it's been really good to experience those things in real life.
No, it's so wonderful to see you excited about it. I think that would be something that would make me so happy to see constantly, especially to see all of the different influences that go into all of these different events. It must be so lovely to also learn every day about different cultures. I think that's such a wonderful opportunity to have. Do you mix with mural arts by any chance?
You know what? It's so funny because mural arts, some of their staff members are a part of the Rising Link Collective. So I've been able to connect through that Thursday arts admin gathering that I mentioned. We don't have like a solidified partnership with them, but I am a massive fan. I think I actually saw Jane Golden at the 40th anniversary celebration that they held over at Rec Philly last year. And I like fangirled for a moment, just saying, how much I appreciate the work that they've been able to do. I can only imagine how many challenges, getting all these amazing and diverse murals across the city. It's important work. So, no, we haven't solidified a partnership with them, but we definitely intersect in different ways.
Well, if you ever want to connect, I've also interviewed them on the podcast. And they're so unbelievably lovely. It was a great conversation.
I can't. Oh, not chill. Harry, that is the one that I've got through Rising with.
He's so lovely. He was so lovely. He was such a wonderful person to have on the podcast. He was incredible. It was a really good conversation. I just love talking about Philly. I have nonprofits that are not from Philly on the podcast. But talking with you, talking with Chad. I also talked to a woman from the Global Philadelphia or organization. Is that what it's called? Have you heard of that?
But I'm writing it down.
That is also seems to have some parallels with your organization. I think that would be a lovely contact. I'll share all these things with you after the podcast. But her name is Zabet T. Luxing, and they basically are it's similar because it's very funny. They also work on preserving culture. They do a lot of events for specific like nationalities or ethnicity in the city, and that was a very cool thing to learn about. But yeah, there's so many beautiful things going on in the city. Oh, again, it's so incredible to hear that you guys are doing this, and also that you can continue to interact with other organizations. There's so much that can be done.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I don't know about you, but I'll say for myself, um, being in person and experiencing like different cultural activities or activities like quilt making or just like hangouts with other arts administrators or, industry appreciation nights, these different activities are much more refreshing than doing this all day. So we're like, I'm like, I look at the time I spend on my phone and it's not healthy, and I think to myself, oh, I spent, let's say even like 2 hours here. I could have spent like at least 30 minutes again, learning how to quilt. I've always wanted to learn how to make a quilt. So that's another thing that I just am like beyond grateful for, to be in a community where there is always something happening and something to do so that we're not trapped in this digital matrix that I think a lot of us have found ourselves in. But I mean, no shade to the matrix because clearly right here, right? Like this is necessary also, but it is like there has to be a balance at all times, and I'm grateful that folks are so intentional and um have so much contained energy, and making sure that we're continuing to just like do the work and not get trapped in this other world that has been created for us, for better or worse.
Yeah. No, I think during the digital age, it's very difficult to um interact. I think it made it almost harder, especially for the people that have the most difficulty in social situations, I guess. It made it even like I guess a crutch. I'm not even shading the people that do that because I'm one of them. I think it was
Yeah.
very easy to not be involved in social situations because I could genuinely just avoid it. Um, but I realized how worse off I was after relying on it for so long. I think that, I don't know, human connection is so vital for, I think, just genuine well-being and happiness. I think that making those connections with people I am so happy that even though I work from home, I do this podcast because I do get to interact with people every day. New, different people. It is and I get to learn all these different things, and it is such a luxury because I know people work from home and just click, 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 click on their computer all day, or they write emails. And I would die if I was like that. I would die. And I no shade to those people if they love it. I'm happy for you. I can't do that. I'm not the type of person. Even my major was interacting with people and debating over different things, and that's like the best way that I think I find happiness. And I know it's not for everyone, but I think being able to find like-minded people, and especially when there's so much beautiful diversity going on in the city, it's so awesome to be able to interact with so many different groups, have different food. I think that's my favorite thing about Philly.
Yeah, it's there. And there's lots of stuff is happening right now too, right? Yeah.
I
Oh,
keep
sure.
forgetting. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna miss it. It's a
Oh, it's worker about do it. Yeah. I don't know if you have you heard about the cultural plan that's happening? There's a cultural plan.
no, what is it
Oh,
that?
yeah. Look, this is beautiful things about working in this industry right now. So there's a woman, her name is Val Gay. She was appointed within the mayoral cabinet and is leading Creative Philadelphia now. And that is housed within, our local government. And right now, they're embarking on creating a cultural plan for Philadelphia. There's never been a cultural plan for the city, and there are a few like outputs coming through that. One of them is a citywide cultural calendar that actually is available now, so that like if you're looking for events that are happening day by day, you get like a roadmap, which I find exciting. And these things, of course, right? I mean, going back to the whole technology of it all, right? Like it's beautiful that exists and it is on technology and it is helpful. But I hope that we continue to like really examine how we're using. And maybe this is a speech to myself. This is me on the soapbox to myself, but just examining how I'm using technology for those like meaningful in-person interactions with folks that, I have shared community with. I think it's necessary, especially now.
No, I definitely agree, and I think this is a wonderful note to end on because unfortunately we are so over time, but I'm so happy to talk to you. So it is totally okay, and I think this was such a wonderful chat. I do think that it was a great for us to end on because I think that people should maybe think about the way in which they interact more intentionally as well as the way they use their devices. There's so many ways to use them for good. There's very passive, not good or bad ways of using it, but I think using it less or using it in more intentional ways that are, interacting with people, I think is the best way to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry to cut it short. I never wanted that.
Well, I appreciate you, Shannon. I'm looking forward to seeing you in real life at some point.
That would be so lovely. I'll come to the coworking space. I love coworking space. That's what we did before we went completely remote. It was very nice. But I really appreciate everything that you brought to the table, and thank you so much. I hope that people will watch this podcast and learn a lot more about Philly. Maybe they won't move here at all because I really like it. It was absolutely incredible having you on today, and thank you so much.
Anytime. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you too. Bye, everyone.